Yeah, I mean, we talked about this many months ago when Xbox were buying up every studio under the sun. They were buying Blizzard, they were buying King, which I think is part of Blizzard. They were buying Bethesda, and we weren't talking little sums. These were billion-dollar deals, and I know Microsoft's got a lot of money to throw around. It's Microsoft, but I think even at the time we were discussing, is this too much? If you just buy everything, you need to make sure that that is going to turn you a profit. Otherwise, you're just spreading yourself real thin in that monopoly market. And it kind of feels like that's maybe what's happened here. We're not really, I know there's been layoffs across the board in terms of game development, and it's a terrible time to want to get into game development. But we're not really hearing of, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, please post a link in the chat for me. But we're not hearing of major layoffs at PlayStation Studios or Naughty Dog or any other studio that PlayStation is kind of affiliated with. And we're certainly not hearing about any layoffs at Nintendo-owned studios either, which is predominantly just their own home brand stuff. And I'm wondering if this is it because Microsoft have spread themselves too thin. They spent all that money buying up the big names and the big titles for some reason, and they didn't even make those studios Xbox exclusives either. So it kind of, for me, it feels like Microsoft just blew a whole bunch of money on stuff and weren't too sure what they were maybe getting, or maybe they thought that everyone that owned a PlayStation would just buy an Xbox, or they thought everyone that owned a Nintendo would maybe buy an Xbox, or something. I don't know, but it feels like an avoidable thing. It feels like a really avoidable situation.